Namatho Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Monday, the 21st of September 2020. And this is Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. As usual, I'm here to be with you and sharing the teachings of the Buddha and how the teachings of the Buddha is relevant in the current situation or in the modern day. And thank you everyone for listening this online Facebook Dhamma talk and following every night. Hello Margaret, Manish, Pratibha, and everyone. So life is uncertain. We cannot define that our life is certain. And it is difficult to find or try to make it a sense that everything is okay. It is not okay. And we always face new challenges every day. Whether we like it or not like it. Some things we like it, or something it's visible and others are not. And it is all based on how we feel, how we perceive the world, and that's how we have a view on those things and attitude towards those. So the feelings plays a vital role, defines our world, individual world. I'm not talking about the whole world and the existing so-called earth. I'm talking about individual world that one is related to or one is conditioned to. And this is all based on our feelings. That's why the Buddha clearly mentioned in the Brahmajala Sutta, one of the first discourses of the Digha Nikaya, said that the very moment when we know the feelings properly, our views will be cleared. Our understanding to the feelings make changes in our life and the way we look at the things. But misunderstanding of it brings misconceptions, misperceptions, misguidance, and we are living in the world is a miserable world. So understanding and a detachment from that feeling basically helps to be happy or unhappiness. And that was what I was talking yesterday on the basis that the Satipatthana, Vedana-nupassana, Satipatthana, which is the second factors of the right mindfulness. And again, a right mindfulness itself is the second factor of the Samadhi section in the Sila Samadhi Panya. And this right mindfulness again is seventh factor of the Eightfold Noble Path. And this Eightfold Noble Path is again included in the Four Noble Truths, which is the fourth aspects or fourth Noble Truth. And this Four Noble Truths is in the first discourse of the Buddha that Buddha gave to the 5 ascetics for the first time. So we are simply learning the first discourse of the Buddha, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, that Buddha gave to the 5 ascetics for the first time. And the feeling section that I mentioned yesterday, there are 3 basic feelings. That's pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings. Okay? And here, Buddha didn't stop classifying only on these 3 types of feelings. And mind you, I mentioned yesterday that feeling and emotions are 2 different things. Emotion is sort of a mental state, and we will talk about this in the next section on the mind of the Satipatthana or the Cittanupassana. Okay? So feeling and emotions are different. And here, basic term, feeling is defined as the pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. And these pleasant and unpleasant feelings, again, experienced because liking and disliking. And this liking and disliking, again, is based on our perception, based on our views, based on our attitudes to the things. We are all shaped by our thoughts. And if you remember, I mentioned about a couple of days ago that right mindfulness is about the whole world we are making through our thoughts. And here also, anything that comes to contact with us, anything that we are experiencing, the very moment when we identify and recognize and we intervene with it, that intervention is basically due to our perceptions or our views or our attitude to that particular thing that come across with us. That's why anything that comes to contact with us, we define that on the basis of our perception, on the basis of our experiences, on the basis of how do we understand it. And that makes the pleasant or unpleasant sensations, or just a neutral. And there may be occasions that you may have experienced that it's not a pleasant and unpleasant, but just neutral, and it's okay like that. When somebody asks you about the food, is it delicious? And there is no such like a joy or not tasty, but just so, and you would answer, it's okay. Yeah, that's a neutral position, indifferent, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings. Right? So what I'm telling here is that the Buddha didn't stop in this basic feelings. Buddha elaborated further onto so-called amisa, samisa and niramisa, which means that worldly sensations and the unworldly sensations. Sorry, that's the itchiness in my eyes. So, when worldly feelings, we include that worldly feeling for these 3, it's become a 6. types of feelings that we have to understand. So in the pleasant sensations or pleasant feelings in a sense of a worldly, and unpleasant sensations in a form of a worldly. It's called a saramisang. Yeah? And then the neutral feelings, again, the worldly neutral feelings. And here, worldly saramisang means the combination of it's called a panchakama guna, yeah? Essential factors are related to it. So that is basically, it means I sees an object and we feel pleasant sensation, or with desirable, a liking. Or sometimes we see someone who we dislike. The very moment when we see dislike, I sees that dislike person or dislike things or objects, then unpleasant feelings arises. And similarly, sometimes it's just the neutral and worldly. I sees things which is neutral, not pleasurable or unpleasurable. So. And this is the first, second division of the sensation. And unworldly, now this is again, and this unworldly, basically, Buddha was talking about the renunciation, a renunciation or the discarding. It's called a nekkhamma, right? Niramisang. The sensation or the feelings which is discarded or not relating it. And unpleasant sensations are also letting it be. Letting it be. So, in this section of the Vedananupassana, that's why we have to understand these 9 types of Vedanas. 9 types of the sensations. And here we can understand in another way that the sensation or the Vedana or the feelings are conditioned by the cravings because of, as I said yesterday, not knowing the reality of the Vedana we crave. And this comes under the paticca-samuppada, dependent origination. And further on, understanding the contact, very moment when we talk about the worldly or unworldly Vedana, the feelings, then we are talking about the contact, that 5 senses or kama guna, contact with the eye, ears, tongue, nose and body comes to contact with the objects, and that's how it's conditioned to arise. And as you develop awareness of it, then you will be able to see or observe how it is conditioned as soon as it comes to contact with it. Now, the Buddha gave a simile how our feelings are so fragile, and it occurs in different ways, that in our feelings is like the wind. The Buddha gave the simile. Our feeling, yesterday I gave a feeling, I gave a simile that Buddha gave. Buddha elaborated to understand the feeling, that how fragile and it arises and vanishes immediately. But in the same time, there are another simile Buddha gave, which is like the wind. Sometimes a wind can be very hot, warm, and other time wind can be very cold or cool. Right? And our feelings are like that too. Sometimes we feel so pleasurable, and other times we feel so miserable. And this miserable and this pleasurable feelings that we experience is again conditioned, that things came to contact. Same with the wind, that is conditioned by the environment, the seasons, and that changes the temperature of the weather. Similarly, our feelings are also conditioned by the things around you. Sometimes you dislike something is happening. That conditions your mindset to boil up. And you become angry and you become upset. And other times something went in accordance with what you wish or in accordance with what you are thinking. And condition change your mindset, and all the brain and the situation changes into the pleasurable. That's why when we look at the concept of the dukkha, there is a beautifully said, the Buddha said that when we get what we wish, we feel happy. When we do not get what we wish, we feel unhappy. When we are associating with a liked person, we are happy. When we disassociation with liked people, then we are suffering. Right? So like that. Wind is also like that. That comes and goes like this, and that changes accordingly. Now, practice of a meditation here, in the Satipatthana, we can see that knowing the feeling inside. Yeah? Knowing the feeling inside. Vedanasu vedananupassi. Understanding, also knowing the Vedana, or the feelings in feelings. And the second, knowing the feelings outside, external feeling. So, internal feeling, external feeling, and both internal and external feeling. Internal feeling is the feeling that we experience now. And within that, we observe what are these things taking place, why it is taking place, why it is making me these pleasurable feelings or unpleasurable feelings. And similarly, the external feelings is talking about bahidhava, vedanasu vedananupassi viharati. The external feelings here is talking about someone else feeling, and both, the last one is the both. Awareness of the feelings of internal and external. And again, this is not that much, I would say, that we should be care of or should be concerned much. But the second section from here, the instruction is that aware of these the feelings arising. Upada. When the feeling arises, you know that the feeling is arising. Now this is what we need to develop. At the same time, the second instruction the Buddha gave is knowing when it ceases. Vayadhamma. So when the feeling ceases, ends, fades away, we know that, we are aware of that. And the last, kaya vayadhamma. Arising and vanishing of it. So we know that how the feeling is arising and then how the feeling is vanishing. So this is the three basic instructions. If we understand clearly, then we will be able to deal with this feeling so greatly. First instruction is know that the feeling has arisen, or feeling is arising. And how do we know that? Now, this is the classical example that I normally give, is when someone says something bad or something annoys you. That moment, what sort of a sensation arises in you? And if you're more aware in your physical body, the feeling simply arises there. Unpleasant sensations gradually, bubbles out, sprouts, and aware of that. At the same time, somebody praises you, somebody talking in a sugary language to you, and then gradually the whole situation changes. The feeling of that pleasurable experience, and here it's called a samisang, worldly samisang. You can observe that, and you will be able to understand how it is arising. And at the same time, if you become a very mindful and aware of that, as soon as you change this topic or you change the situation or you walk away from that situation, the whole condition changed. And gradually your feeling will change. So the feeling vanishing. And that also, you will be mindful of that. You will be able to know that as it changes slowly. You will be able to know that feeling, pleasant or unpleasant feeling arising, and then when it is vanishing. Because all the feelings that arises, that are conditioned. Without a condition, there is no feeling comes. So that's why 6 senses comes to contact with the outside 6 bases. With the 6 senses comes to contact with the outside 6 bases, it generates the feeling. When it generates the feeling, that arises. That arises. And right understanding of this arising feeling gives us the right view of it. And we will be able to comprehend that, aware of that, knowing that. And with that, as it was arising, and then next moment, what happens? It vanishes as the condition changed. Whether it is pleasant sensation or whether it is unpleasant sensations, you will be able to detect that or know that, ability to understand that clearly. And with that understanding, further understanding both the arising and vanishing of the feeling in a conditioned way, you become aware of that. Okay, this is because of that. That is because of that. Now it has arisen, and now it is vanishing. So you will be able to comprehend that with your own experience. So that's why the practice of a meditation is so important. Anything that sensation arises in your body, whether it is a pleasant sensation or whether it is unpleasant sensation, or whether it is the mental feeling, whether it is a pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, Because in the Vedananupassana, it's not talking only the physical feelings, but it's talking about both physical and mental feelings. And we will be able to comprehend that in every levels. And this is the defining point here. Because we observe, whatever we feel, whatever we observe the feelings at that time, this moment by moment, is the reality pertaining to the current moment. And we are able to be mindful of that, the moment by moment. So that's why this is the turning point. This is the turning point here, whether you are craving after you have a feeling or a right understanding of the feeling, you are going into the Eightfold Noble Path for the liberation. So that's why Buddha clearly said here that right understanding of this feeling and detachment to this feeling, but knowing is these as they are, help to liberate. Yeah? That leads to the liberation. And the leading to the liberation basically towards understanding the right understanding, going towards the Eightfold Noble Path, which is the path to lead to the liberation. The very moment when we misunderstood this feeling, basically we crave on top of it, and with this craving we generate new form, new sankhara. Goes on. So that's why it is a very important part in the Satipatthana as well as in the Buddha's teachings to experience and understand this feeling properly. And it plays the current in this moment, and it is the breeze between taking us to the samsara or taking us to the path to the liberation. So it's up to us. How do we plan? How do we work with it? And how do we understand the feelings? So thank you everyone for listening. I end here for tonight's reflection. May you all be well and happy. Take care of yourself. Those who are listening from the east, good night and have a good sleep. And those who are listening from the west, some are good morning and some are evening. In a few moments' time, we're going to have a chanting and guided meditation, so you are most welcome to join with us. Until then, take care and good night. See you shortly. Thank you. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Sadhu.